Elizabeth I transcended the role of mere monarch, becoming an icon of mythical proportions. She proclaimed herself the Virgin Sovereign, adorned elaborate gowns encrusted with precious stones, and governed with keen intellect and iron determination. History recalls her magnificent court, triumph over Spain's naval forces, and transformation of England into a formidable Protestant realm. Yet beneath this grandeur and authority, concealed by heavy cosmetics and lustrous gems, dwelled a figure consumed by anxiety, vanity, and compulsion. She obsessed over public perception, and regarding personal cleanliness, her practices bordered on the bizarre. During that era, hygiene served appearance rather than health, and Elizabeth I elevated it to theatrical art. She believed water posed health risks. Terrified of aging, she regarded her physical form as sacred, untouchable by time or even cleansing agents. This exploration reveals 5 extraordinary and startling methods Elizabeth I employed for personal care, with the final revelation being truly unbelievable. Elizabeth harbored an intense craving for sugar. During her reign, sugar represented unattainable luxury for common people. This rare, costly commodity traveled from distant territories. Ordinary citizens might never experience its taste throughout their lives. Yet England's sovereign indulged excessively. She didn't merely appreciate confections, she immersed herself completely. Royal banquets featured crystallized flower petals, sugar-glazed produce, sweet almond confections, and desserts saturated in thick syrups. Possessing sugar demonstrated elevated social standing. Elizabeth I consumed it while flaunting England's expanding influence and prosperity. However, this indulgence carried devastating consequences. 16th-century dental medicine remained rudimentary. Cleaning implements were crude, with most people maintaining oral hygiene using wooden sticks, cloth fragments, or pulverized shells. The monarch, conversely, employed a unique formula, creating homemade dental paste from sugar and botanical ingredients. Ironically, the substance destroying her teeth also served as her cleaning agent. Additionally, she applied abrasive compounds that eroded tooth enamel. Gradually, her once regal smile became horrifying. International guests observed this deterioration. By the 1590s, her teeth appeared blackened, fractured, or completely absent. Her breath reportedly caused physical discomfort among courtiers. Sometimes her speech became incomprehensible due to speaking through dental decay. Nevertheless, she refused surgical extraction. Elizabeth I displayed notorious stubbornness and pain avoidance. To demonstrate the procedure's safety, a courtier volunteered for tooth removal in her presence. Picture someone enduring agony deliberately to convince the sovereign to seek treatment. The most peculiar aspect followed next. Rather than ridiculing her deteriorating teeth, court ladies imitated this appearance. They deliberately darkened their teeth using soot and charcoal to replicate their monarch's look. Within her circle, even dental rot symbolized aristocracy. If the sovereign possessed blackened teeth, then such teeth represented elegance, authority, and affluence. The darker one's smile, the greater their presumed wealth. In an environment where royal behaviors became trends, even tooth decay gained desirability. Such was monarchical influence. You might recognize the notorious declaration, "I cleanse myself monthly, regardless of necessity." Some attribute this statement to Elizabeth I, others consider it folklore. Regardless, it illustrates 16th-century attitudes toward cleanliness and their stark contrast with modern practices. Water was considered hazardous then. People believed it transmitted disease, weakened constitution, and emitted harmful vapors called miasma. This invisible contamination supposedly spread fatal illnesses like plague. For many, bathing represented danger rather than health benefit. Consequently, Elizabeth I avoided water immersion. Instead of soap and water cleansing, she followed alternative practices. She frequently changed linen undergarments called shifts, sometimes multiple times daily. People believed soft fabric absorbed perspiration, grime, and bodily toxins. Water became unnecessary with fresh cloth. When refreshing herself, she used floral waters, acidic solutions, or herbal preparations created by royal pharmacists. Handmaidens delicately applied these substances to her skin. This constituted careful ceremony focused on appearance rather than sanitation. Her body received treatment befitting a sacred relic rather than human flesh. Perfection remained mandatory regardless of cost. Why avoid proper bathing? The process demanded enormous effort. Her residences lacked modern conveniences or water systems. Bathing required retrieving massive wooden vessels, heating numerous water containers, and summoning at least 3 attendants for preparation. The undertaking resembled organizing royal festivities. Bathing represented luxury rather than routine, yet people considered her pristine. She possessed countless gowns crafted from premium silk and velvet. Her fragrance resembled botanical gardens and exotic spices. She maintained scented handwear, aromatic accessories, and demanded flawless presentation throughout. However, this created cleanliness illusion rather than genuine sanitation. No scrubbing, rinsing, or cleansing agents were involved. Elizabeth I didn't avoid bathing from negligence or indolence. She avoided it because excessive reality might compromise her perfect facade. Water could smear her white cosmetics. It might weaken the illusion. It could reveal her humanity. In her perception, monarchs transcended human limitations. Elizabeth I's visage remains historically iconic. Pale as fine china, smooth as marble sculpture, and cold as granite. Yet this wasn't her natural complexion. It was a carefully constructed facade, meticulously applied daily, not for beauty, but for authority. During her period, pallid skin indicated wealth, status, and divine favor. The paler your appearance, the higher your social position. Therefore, the sovereign pursued extremes. She didn't simply wear cosmetics. She employed them to construct mythology, a flawless version immune to aging or weakness. Her preferred product, Venetian ceruse, contained deadly white lead mixed with vinegar. This created perfect coverage, concealing every imperfection, mark, and shadow. Underneath, it gradually destroyed her. This poison penetrated her skin, causing irritation, wounds, and permanent damage. As her actual face deteriorated, she simply added additional layers, increasingly thick, until her appearance became a rigid mask. The destruction continued further. For her lips, she applied brilliant red pigments containing mercury, among Earth's most toxic elements. Increased usage worsened her condition. Her temperament altered, memory declined, physical strength diminished, and hands occasionally shook. These represent classic mercury poisoning symptoms, yet the monarch remained unaware of self-inflicted harm through daily facial application. Why persist? Her face didn't belong solely to her. It belonged to England. Her image represented her authority. It rendered her seemingly timeless, divine, unreachable. She prohibited artists from depicting her actual features. Instead, painters used official facial templates copied from earlier portraits. Regardless of aging, her paintings remained consistent, youthful, flawless, timeless. She even refused natural illumination. Candlelight and darkness helped conceal reality. During final years, her face became so fragile that touching it might cause cosmetic cracking and collapse. She rarely cleansed her face. Why would she? Washing meant eliminating the illusion and exposing a vulnerable, aging woman beneath the virgin sovereign's mask. Did she understand the cosmetics were lethal? Historians continue debating. One fact remains clear. She prioritized the mask over health. She willingly sacrificed physical well-being to preserve Gloriana's legend. Understanding Elizabeth I's hygiene requires comprehending her greatest terror, losing control. Every bodily aspect, painted face, scented gloves, and carefully selected fragrances served not merely appearance, but maintaining authority and concealing vulnerability. During her era, bathing was uncommon and hazardous. People believed water carried disease. Bathing meant physical and symbolic exposure. It appeared weak, intimate, even perilous. Elizabeth I, having witnessed her mother Anne Boleyn's court-orchestrated destruction, refused appearing fragile. To her, nakedness equaled vulnerability. Therefore, she avoided water and created alternative cleanliness based on perfume and ceremony. Daily, she surrounded herself with potent, sweet aromas. Her attendants prepared floral waters, lavender extracts, vinegar solutions, and herbal mixtures brewed in palace distilleries. These liquids weren't intended for skin cleansing. They masked odors and created freshness illusions. A few drops near ears, wrist application, fragrant handkerchief in sleeves, and she moved through court resembling a mobile garden, untouched by human scent. She carried pomanders, ornate spheres containing herbs and resins, concealed in clothing or worn on belts. When unpleasant odors approached, she raised these to breathe her controlled environment. These objects provided more than comfort. They conveyed clear messages. I differ from you. I don't emit common worldly odors. Even clothing contributed to performance. Gloves were perfumed, handkerchiefs oil-soaked, and dresses layered and rigid, designed for body concealment and scent containment. She famously distributed scented gloves to courtiers, gifts reflecting her image rather than personal touch. Regarding hair, washing rarely occurred. Hair cleansing seemed dangerous, especially for heavy cosmetic wearers. Instead, natural hair was stiffened using sugar water and egg whites, then powdered. As aging caused hair loss, likely from years of lead and mercury exposure, she adopted wigs, particularly auburn ones, maintaining her image. Beneath powder and perfume, her body deteriorated. Years of toxic cosmetics left skin scarred, thin, and blistered. Rumors spread of peeling skin, open wounds, and faces too damaged for contact, yet she continued applying increasingly thick layers. She banned mirrors from private chambers. Nobody could witness reality, including herself. Reportedly, a servant's sole responsibility involved privately powdering her shoulders, ensuring nobody saw authentic skin. Elizabeth I became prisoner of her own illusion. Bathing wasn't merely avoided due to difficulty, it was avoided because it meant removing the mask. Body washing meant acknowledging aging, deterioration, humanity. Elizabeth I spent her lifetime convincing the world she transcended humanity. During final years, she carried aromatic walking sticks. When encountering malodorous courtiers, she raised these to her nose, not solely blocking odors, but reminding everyone, I am sovereign, I don't belong to your world. Her body no longer represented flesh and bone, it symbolized the crown. It required perfection, even sacrificing underlying truth. For Elizabeth I, cleanliness wasn't health-related, it meant remaining untouchable. Externally, Elizabeth I's palaces appeared heavenly. Massive stone structures, golden ceilings, velvet furnishings, and halls filled with music and silk. Yet beyond the royal facade lay something far less magnificent. No toilets, sinks, or plumbing existed. Behind all beauty, the sovereign inhabited a sewer-like environment. Her most private facility was an elegant wooden chair called a close stool. It appeared refined externally, but beneath cushions sat ceramic pots collecting waste. These required manual emptying, cleaning, and perfuming multiple times daily. This wasn't servant work, it was performed by someone with royal authority, the groom of the stool. Don't mistake this job title, this man wasn't a janitor. He was a trusted nobleman, selected for loyalty and discretion. He didn't simply assist the sovereign with toilet use, he also helped with dressing, managed private affairs, and sometimes participated in confidential political discussions. In the peculiar Tudor court world, proximity to the monarch during intimate moments meant proximity to power. The remaining palace proved far more revolting. Without flushing toilets, only chamber pots, buckets or bowls existed for waste, used by everyone. These were emptied into cesspits beneath floors or outside palace walls. Cleaning this waste fell to men called gong farmers or night soil workers. They labored at night, carrying waste buckets through dark corridors and narrow staircases, avoiding spills while emptying filth into open ditches. The odor was terrible and persistent. To mask it, palaces burned herbs like lavender, rosemary, and sweet marjoram. People scattered flowers on floors and laid straw or rushes soaked in oils, attempting to trap odors. These rushes weren't frequently cleaned. Dirt, hair, crumbs, and decay accumulated underneath, creating hidden filth layers. Even the sovereign couldn't escape the stench. She moved her court between palaces not only for politics, but to avoid smells. Extended stays in one location worsened problems. No amount of perfume could hide truth indefinitely. This represented authentic royal life, a world of gold and velvet externally, but corruption and disease internally. A place where power coexisted with filth, where England's most powerful woman constantly battled her kingdom's odor. Elizabeth I didn't rule accidentally. She ruled through strategy, style, smoke, and mirrors. Her hygiene wasn't negligent. It was deliberate. Every avoided bath, every rose water drop, every powdered wig contributed to grand performance. In a world where women's strength could crumble from single rumors, Elizabeth I rendered herself untouchable, ageless, and beyond humanity. She understood the truth. Bathing risked the mask. Water could wash away authority. A bare face might invite criticism. A real, aging body could destroy the illusion she spent decades perfecting. Instead, she powdered, perfumed, painted, and posed. She became legend. Elizabeth I might not have been clean by contemporary standards, but she was flawless by design. In her world, soap and water weren't health tools. They threatened power. She didn't merely survive. She mastered being seen without being known. Ultimately, her true cleanliness wasn't on her skin. It was in her image. For a sovereign, image was everything.